Welcome to the Gatekeepers Podcast with Billy Grove, where the fence world gets real, raw, and unfiltered. Billy's not just an industry leader, he's a hands-on pro who knows what it takes to build quality fences and strong teams. So grab a cold one, settle in, and get ready for straight talk about the trade. Today's show is brought to you by Mr. Fence Academy, National Metal Industries, J.C. Gury Signs and Decals, and Orlando Hinge Company. If you're looking to hit the next level in your fence company, check out Mr. Fence Academy. Real fencers, real job sites, real training equals real results. And now, live from the Mr. Fence Academy studios, here's your host, Billy Grove.
What is going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's had a wonderful day, Tuesday. I hope everybody's had a wonderful past week since we've last spoke to each other. I hope you guys went out there and kicked some ass, put some fence in the ground, and collected some checks. We got a real awesome show lined up for you guys tonight. I got Mr. Caleb Roth on from Expert Stain and Seal, Gopher Wood, and Stain and Seal experts. Kind of a tongue twister there. But first and foremost, before we get into that, guys, I do got to give a huge shout out to the sponsors who make this show possible week in and week out. First and foremost, it's going to be Mr. Fence Academy, guys. If you're looking to up the level of your business, whether it be the installation side or the business side, go check out MrFenceAcademy.com at www.MrFenceAcademy.com. Secondly, we got National Metal Industries. If you're in the market for privacy slots for chain link, that's the most asked question besides fence signs that I see on the pages. Go check out www.nmifence.com. They got way more stuff than just privacy slats. They got chain link material, fence tools, you name it, they got it. Go and give them a nice check. If you're still in the market for a fence sign, this is the number 2 asked question. Go check out JC Gury at www.jcgury.com. All the signs are made in-house right here in the United States, and they all come with some Mylar lamination that'll keep them looking good for 10, 15 years to come. Looks brand new. Last but not least, we got Orlando Hinge Company, aka the Swan Hinge. Seen a lot of talk about this on the groups lately, guys. These things work. You guys are loving them. Glad you guys are giving them a shot. But if you're still struggling with having a double gate, one leaf of it swinging uphill and making it work to swing uphill without making some nasty cuts in the pickets or like a nasty gate frame, go check out www.swanhinge.com. They work. I can attest to it. It's awesome. Awesome people as well. All right, guys. With that said, like I said, we got Caleb Roth on the show tonight. We're going to be talking about adding and also growing a stain division in already established fence company. So there's lots of guys out there who ask questions about that stuff. So I thought what would be the best ideas to bring Caleb Roth on, someone who speaks about this quite often. So guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and get our guest on. How you doing, man?
Man, doing good. Doing great.
Good, man. How was your past week?
It's been a busy week working on some big projects, so I'm just nose to the grindstone.
Nice.
Nice. Good time of year for it.
Yeah, that it is, man. It's kind of we're on the downhill slope with a super busy season. Got a nice little lull with people going back to school, so time to get caught up on some stuff.
Yep, it's that time of year. It's picked up for us though. The staining season runs pretty close to parallel with the fence business, but when it's wet, it slows us down. And so the first half of the year was pretty wet in most parts of the country, and now it's dry weather. And since about July, man, you guys have been getting busy. Been getting after it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. All right, so for those of you watching or listening who don't know who you are, just give us a brief brief intro on yourself.
Well, my name's Caleb Roth. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, actually about 50 miles east of Nashville, out in the real desolate and rural area here out in the country. I like it this way, but we service Nashville. And I grew up in the fence business, building fence. You know, everybody went swimming and riding bikes in the summer. I went to build fence and learned to hate it and learned to love it at the same time. And grew up kind of in the family business, even after school, worked in the family business for years and decided, you know, as a salesman making 3% straight commission selling fences, I wanted to make some extra money.
Right.
And I started staining fences, and it worked perfect. I started a separate company from the family fence business, so I would stain all the fences we built that I could, and then I knew everybody in the fence business because grew up in it, and so I called them all and said, "Hey, you build fences, I'll stain them. We should be friends." And one thing led to another, and got in the staining business, and that went good. Eventually, went full time in the staining business, and found kind of some needs in the market and started making my own stains for my own use. I was pretty loud on social media back years ago, you know, just showing I wanted jobs. I couldn't afford Google ads. I couldn't afford Facebook ads. Didn't know how to do it anyway. So I would just take my cell phone and, you know, hold it up in front of my face and say, "We're here on a staining job. You know, the crew's going to do it in a few minutes. And here's a before look, and I will show you the finished product." This was before Facebook Live was a thing. And so the crew was me. So I'd put on my staining clothes, I'd stain the fence. And when I got finished, I would wipe off the stain and the sweat off my face. I would change clothes, put on a hat. And it was very obvious that I was, you know, not the same as I was before, because I'd been hot and sweaty. But
Right.
you know, hey, the crew's gone to the next job site, and I'm just finishing up a walkthrough with the customer here, and just wanted to show you the finished product. And I did that just about on every single job. And you know, people could see the stains, or stains that the stain that I made for myself had a lot of very rich color. You know, that was, you know, color is the most expensive part of a stain. And I put a lot of color in my stain because I wanted it to last. People said, "Hey, what stain are you using?" And I just said, "Oh, I just make it myself." And they said, "Well, I want to buy it." And I said, "Well, I don't sell it." And but I got enough of those that eventually I said, "Well, maybe I'll sell some stain." And I sold some stain. And I guess kind of the rest is history. We started selling stains, and that became the biggest part of our business. And now we sell stains in 3 countries and 3 continents, I guess, and do pre-stain lumber and help guys get in the staining business and help them be successful.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Been a
Yeah,
while.
man. My first ever fence conference was yours in 2021, I think was the year.
Okay. Yeah, you came to Staining University then.
Yeah. That was fun. It was cold. It was wet. It was raining the entire time.
It happens sometimes. Yep.
Yeah. But so what would you say to a guy who is asking about adding a staining like division to a fence company?
Well, you know, I always tell everybody there's 3 ways to get in the staining business. Now there's actually 4 ways, but the first way is, as a fence contractor, when you stain the fence, when your fence is stained, it's particularly with an oil-based stain, it's less likely to warp, crack, or twist, and it's going to stay looking good longer. So the first way you can get in the staining business is just find a good, reliable person that you can refer. So if you know, how many fence guys, raise your hand, everybody in the room, if you finish a wooden fence and then the customer says, "Okay, great, it's beautiful. Now when do I stain it? When do I seal it? Will you do that? You know, can you refer somebody?" So if you just have a good referral, that's a great way to start, because you can refer a stain job to a contractor, and if he does a good job for you, your fence is going to look good. It's going to look better than the other fences on the street, and you'll get work. You refer him work, he'll refer you work. It can be a good relationship.
Right.
The second way to get into it is to that same guy, hire him as a subcontractor and say, "All right, I'm going to quote the jobs now. And you tell me your going rate or whatever it is, and I will add my piece on top, and I'll manage the project, and you come in as the subcontractor and you stain and seal the fence for me." That's a great way to do it. Third way is you start doing it yourself. You start your own crew. The danger with starting your own crew is now you start splitting your forces, and you start splitting your attention. And so you just have to be mindful of, starting a staining business is a whole new business, even though it can bolt on to a fence company real easily. So you just need to make sure you hire the right people. It'd be better to, you can train fence guys to stain. They usually love it because there's no concrete, there's no rock, there's no digging holes involved. It's like the easiest. Growing up in the fence business, staining is really, really easy work compared to, building fences. And it's in sprints. Usually you drive to the job site, you stain for 1 or 2 hours, you're back in the truck going to the next job. We're building a fence, you might be there 2 weeks with no shade, right? So it's easy work, but it's a totally different type of work, different tools. So if you're lucky enough to have somebody in your area that you can bring on that's already good at that type of operation, it's fastest way to success. And I guess the fourth way is skip the whole thing and then just install already stained wood when you build a fence. So you can do a factory finished lumber that's stained on all 6 sides quite a bit cheaper than you can actually do it in the field spraying it. And so that's a good option too. That's becoming more popular.
Yeah, absolutely is, man. And we've used it a couple times and I love it, man. It's awesome. That's awesome stuff.
Yeah. The cool thing about the staining business though is, 07 was really the first year that I was full time. I had graduated high school. Told my dad, I said, I want to come work for you. He said, well, you got to go work for somebody else before you work for me full time. And I said, all right, fair enough. So I went and got to work in commercial ductwork. We built commercial sheet metal ductwork and installed it. Like the ductwork you see in movies, you can crawl through. It's like 50 feet in the air. We built it and installed it. And the guy I worked for was just as hardcore and a hard charger as my dad was. So we got along great. and so did that for a summer, then came to work, after a year of that in 07, came to work in the fence business. And that's kind of where it all began.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. It's been fun to watch you guys like change just since 21. So been a lot of
yeah, it's probably confused some people, but the problem was, I wasn't a good student in school, and I didn't really know anything when I started in business. And the fence business gave me a great foundation on how to do operations, how to sell, how to take care of customers, how to order materials, how to call Home Depot at 5 a.m. and pay for materials with the credit card number I had memorized, right? But it didn't tell me, but I didn't learn a whole lot because we didn't know about strategic planning. We didn't know about setting budgets. We didn't know about the right margins to charge. And so, that's, I think, the problem that I faced early on. And as I grew in business, we just tried to help everybody with all the mistakes I made. I just said, hey, here's what I learned. And I tried to share all that. And so, but one thing that I sort of skipped over earlier was I started off telling the story about back in 07 was my first year in the fence business. And it was great. It was easy. The economy is really good in 07 for those that don't know. And, the margins were really high in the fencing. And then the 08, 09 housing crisis or whatever came along. And the weirdest thing happened. It seemed like every white collar guy in town got laid off from his job and decided to become a fence builder. And so we saw our margins go from, $10 a foot profit on a job to like $3 a foot profit on a job. And so it cut our margins, and this is 07. So the margins are definitely different than now, but the margins changed. And so what staining allowed us to do was we could go out and in 2 hours make the same or more money that we would make when we built a fence. And it took us 2 days to build the fence back in the day because we'd set the post the first day, come back and nail it up the next day. So staining was really, kind of eye-opening to us because we said, holy cow, I just made the same in 2 hours that I made building the whole fence. And so we decided, hey, we got to do this on every job, and so that's how we figured it out. And that's kind of the message I like to share with everybody else. It's definitely probably a little more competitive now in some markets. And so it's not going to double, it's not going to triple your business, but it might double your profitability, So, the profitability on a average stain job is on the low end, really around a 50% margin. On the high end, it's not uncommon on some pretty complex stain jobs to see 80 or 90% margins. So you can do less revenue, but still have a lot higher bottom line, which is really great thing to bolt onto your fence company. So,
Yeah.
especially the guys that are paying labor by the day, you know, because you're not paying any extra labor if you're working in a market where you can, like California in particular, where the wood's dry, you build the fence, you stain it all in the same day. So with the same labor. So
Oh
definitely
man,
something to think about. Yeah.
that would be a like perfect world, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I
do
know
that
several
everywhere.
guys. They do that every day. They build 90 feet of fence because they got the little postage stamp backyards, and they stain it with pump up sprayers, and they get paid the same either way. So the margin they make on the stain's really high.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Speaking of marketing and like budgeting, uh, what would your like advice to be for a fence company looking to get into the staining business, budgeting wise, for like startup costs,
Well,
such?
really, it's like anything else. You can get into it with a paintbrush, or you can get into it with a $60,000 van with a wrap on it and all the stuff. So really, I think it depends on the scale of your operation. If you've got a 10 or $20 million fence company, you've got some tax money that you're going to have to spend, to avoid taxes, most likely, and you could go buy the brand new truck, the brand new wrapped vehicle, and get all the tools and just turn guys loose in that. And you can also go buy a very cheap sprayer or a paintbrush or whatever and start staining. So it just really depends on the scale of your operation.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you also need to figure out if you're going to be in it for good. If a lot of guys go buy these big stain rigs, and they sit because it seems too good to be true. They get into it, and they spend all the money, and then they go do 3 or 4 jobs, and then they realize that overspray is a problem, or labor's a problem, or they're just too busy with fences, they can't get to stain jobs, and you wind up with all this equipment sitting, and then it gets sold cheap. We've all seen that. And so you just need to I think, go into it with the end in mind, and plan it accordingly. Maybe set yourself some milestones. If we sell, I like to sell things before I go buy the equipment. So you might say, I'm going to sell 10 stain jobs, and then I'm going to go buy the stain, and I'm going to buy the equipment to do it with, and go that way, or sell the first 10 jobs and sub them out just to make sure it works and there's no issues. Go watch the subs, see how they do it, see what the risk looks like for you. There's typically the older fence installers always were very risk averse, because they always, it seemed like every guy who'd been in the fence business since the 70s or 80s would say, oh, well, in 1988, we stained, it's a true story. A guy said, we stained a fence next to Vanderbilt University in Nashville. And he said it blew across into a parking garage, and it was a parking garage with 500 brand new Mercedes Benzes in it, is exactly what he said. And he said, we had to detail all those Mercedes. And he said, we'll never stain again. And obviously there's things you can do to prevent all that, and that doesn't
Right.
have to happen. But you just need to make sure you're going to, you're going to be in it for good before you really make the big investment.
True. And speaking of like some overspray issues, let's say we're dealing with one of the bigger fence companies, and they have the money to just let a crew loose after they get trained. What would be your tidbits on training your first crew for quality and like efficiency as well?
Well, if you're a big enough company, if you're that big, then I'm going to hire a guy who's got a ton of experience. Go get a guy that has painted for 20 years or has stained a lot of fences, somebody that knows what they're doing, somebody that knows how to run crews and run operations. Really, you're only as good as your people. So if you're an owner operator or the CEO or whatever of your fence company, your job's to get fences in the ground and take care of your customers, right? So
Right.
if you split your focus, you might put a few more dollars in your pocket, but eventually, that ship will run aground, and you'll come to a point where we got to hire somebody, right? So I recommend hiring if you have the funds to do it and the means to do it, hire a really good operator that knows that business, and let him hire the team, let him build that for you, and you'll be ahead of the game. It took me a long time to get to the point where I felt like I could afford that, and then now I've not stained a fence. I've not been really in the day-to-day of our service business since 2020. And so having the right people can make it sort of out of sight, out of mind for you.
Right.
But you don't want to get, you don't want to get so far away from the company that you don't, if they basically, there's a saying, if you don't know where the bodies are buried, then you're too far away from it.
Right.
So you can stay involved and get reports from your team and stuff, but hiring a good operator. And I think the same goes for if you're trying to scale your fence company, hire a good fence operator,
True.
Hire good people.
Long way. That goes a long way. So of course, we're gonna choose expert stain and seal like products. Could you get everybody like watching and like listening as well, just a little bit of insight of what makes ESS stand out differently from the others?
Well, first off, we're a penetrating oil-based stain, and we use very, very minimal, and in some products, zero solvents. So I'm allergic to solvents. They give me terrible rashes on my skin, and plus, they can deplete the ozone layer. There's all kind of other things. Some of them are carcinogenic, which are cancer-causing. And so, anytime we can make a product without that, it's a good thing because it's good for your customers, but it's really good for the guy who's spraying it every day. So if one product has, 10% a solvent in it and another one has 1%, then essentially every time you use the one with 10%, you're getting 10 times more exposure to whatever chemical might be in it than if you were using the other one. So, early on when we made the stain, I basically made it in my garage, in my basement, in my old house, or a couple houses ago, and just experimented with it. And I wasn't a chemist, and I think because I wasn't a chemist, it allowed me to think outside the box, because everybody made oil-based stains with a solvent. And so I found a really highly processed oil that's non-toxic, carcinogen free, just a really highly processed oil. It was expensive, but it was a good oil. And so we built our whole formula around the oil, and the oil is important because that's what carries the stain into the wood. That's what keeps the wood from warping, cracking, and splitting. If you, particularly like Japanese cedar, if you put this on Japanese, before you install it, the boards aren't going to shrink. They're not going to get wet. They're not going to expand. They're not going to pop and bust. And so the oil is really important, particularly because fence builders' number one callback for wood fence is usually warping, cracking, and twisting. So,
Right.
So the oil, that's the main thing. Coming from a fence guy who got, a 5-star review from a lady, and then 6 weeks later she leaves you a 1-star review because the gate warped or the pickets warped or whatever. We wanted to eliminate that. And then we have just a ton of color. We have really high quality, strong pigments, and we put a lot of pigment in our stain. And then we have a proprietary plant-based binder that holds it all together, seals the wood nicely. So it's just more of a niche product that we're kind of taking mainstream and working on some cool things for the product that'll make it stand out in the market. But it's just a cool stain. The number one thing you'll notice when you pop the lid off is it doesn't smell like a paint factory. It's got almost no smell, and it's almost sometimes like a sweet smell. And,
I feel like it smells like buttered popcorn sometimes.
Yeah, it's got to smell kind of like that. And so if you get a big, a truckload of pre-stained lumber in your shop, it smells good. And before I made my own stain, I would use other brands of stain, and I used a bunch of different ones. And I remember I was staining a fence, and I had on full respirator, the full suit. I wore everything. And this lady next door came outside, and it was a grandma. She was probably in her early or mid 40s, something like that. She had a newborn baby, and she was babysitting, and she came out on the porch, and she was standing there with that baby, and she was like watching me. She wanted me to know that she was watching me to make sure I didn't get any stain on her house or whatever. And just the thought of those fumes in the air, it was bothering me. I was thinking that newborn baby shouldn't be exposed to this, and this lady's too stubborn to go in the house. And it's similar to if you've ever been on a fence job and a guy like a block away is sealing his driveway, and you can smell it. You can smell it a mile away. That's what most other stains are like, where I just didn't like that, and had some family members that had some problems from solvents, and so figured we just do without. And really hard to do, but it worked. We figured out a way to do it, and that's kind of what makes us special.
That's awesome. Yeah, man, it's a really great product too. I love using it. I love telling people about it. It's awesome. But we're also going to get into Gopher Wood after the commercial break, which we are about to take. But really excited to talk about some Gopher Wood. It's really cool stuff. Super glad that you're offering it. And with that said, we'll be back in 3 minutes. Gonna run some like commercials.
National Metal Industries, a family-owned business for 70-plus years, has grown to be recognized for their ability to deliver on not just privacy slats for fence, but all types of fence products. National Metal Industries has all the hardware and tools to get the fence professional in and out of their job with the most ease possible. You can count on National Metal Industries for the most convenient resources in fence products. Visit nmifence.com for more information. As we like to say, you can always pick it right at National. J.C. Gury Signs and Decals has been a trusted name in the sign industry since 1949, with all manufacturing done in-house from start to finish right here in the USA. With 75 years in outdoor signage and roots dating back to the 1920s, J.C. Gury specializes in durable, high-quality signs and decals. In-house screen printing since the 1970s ensures every product meets the highest standards. Visit jcgury.com for more information. Every aluminum sign includes Mylar lamination at no extra cost, extending product life in tough outdoor conditions. For unmatched quality and longevity, visit jcgury.com. Struggling with a gate that drags on your sloped yard? Orlando Hinge Company has the solution, the Swan Hinge. Unlike standard hinges, the Swan Hinge lets double drive gates swing open smoothly up inclines, eliminating dragging and binding. Easy to install on vinyl, aluminum, wood, and chain link gates. It's built for durability and made to withstand the elements. And when your customer hears that, yes, their gates can work on a slope, you just made the sale. The Swan Hinge, designed by fencers for fencers. Made in the USA, lifetime warranty. Order today at swanhinge.com or email info@orlandohingecompany.com. The Swan Hinge, because every gate deserves to open smoothly.
All right, guys, we are back and we are going to jump into the Gopher Wood conversation. But real quick, I do have to give the only shout out that doesn't have a commercial, Mr. Fence Academy, guys. Once again, if you're in the market to change your fence business, whether it be the installation side or the business side, go check out www.mrfenceacademy.com. All right. Oh, man, I just had a light shut off. That's not good. I guess I need a new one.
Man, that Swan Hinge is pretty cool. I watched the video on that. That was pretty slick.
It is, man. It is. It's like it's really cool to actually use and just. Even though I've used I've used probably 9 of them. Every time I use one, I'm just blown away. I'm like, man, that actually really works.
It's neat. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, you change the way the gate swings or dig out the ground, or you just can't do it. And so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. And it works, and it works well. It's super heavy duty. So, it amazes me, and it sells customers, and we no longer have people saying that the left side of their double drive gate looks horrible anymore. So
yeah, big need in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mr. Kevin Orlando, keep doing what you're doing, my man. It is absolutely working. But speaking of wood fences, we're going into Gopher Wood, something that I'm super excited about. I think we're going to use some here in the next couple weeks. Can you tell everybody what Gopher Wood is?
Well, I told you the story before of the old fence guy who doesn't want to stain because of an old, something that happened a long time ago, and he's scared of risk. And that's, we called on a lot of people and said, talk to them about our stains, and a lot of fencers say, I like the idea, but I just don't want to do it. Don't have time to do it. Don't have people. Don't want to take on the risk. And so, there's pre-stained lumber's been around forever. It's been around since probably
Mhm.
it's probably been around for 100 years and popular in the fence industry probably since the late 70s. And I just figured, hey, we need to start doing that because it's hard to find pre-stained lumber. And so started doing doing this, I guess in 2017, 2018, I started doing my first truckloads of that, and then moved to a new facility and just didn't have the room for it and shut it down until we would do, a few one and two, job lots for people until I guess 2024, we kicked off Gopher Wood and set up the big flood coaters and started staining lumber for we sell to, we don't sell job lots. We sell like to suppliers, some big fence companies that can buy
Right.
full truckloads. And it's been great. We offer it in Japanese cedar. A lot of people talk trash about Japanese cedar, but it's still probably the number one most sold cedar product in America.
Absolutely.
Some of the problems with Japanese cedar is it comes in anywhere from 8% to 15% moisture content. And the really dry stuff, when you install it and you butt the boards together, and then it rains, those boards swell up and then they start popping and cracking because they're too tight and there's no swelling room. So what we're able to do first is source a good quality Japanese cedar, but we stain and seal it on all 6 sides with a flood coat manner, so it's saturated with oil-based stain. And then when you install that fence, it's not going to swell. It's already swollen, and it's also not going to shrink. And so it's a really cool way to do a Japanese cedar picket pre-stained, because it's a little more money than pine, but it's still less expensive than an unstained Western red cedar fence. We also offer incense cedar and Western red cedar. We have all the boards for fence track. We have trim boards, things like that. So so if that's something you're interested in, we'd love to talk to you about it. You can definitely reach out to us, and we'll find a dealer near you, or if you have a supplier nearby, talk to them, and we'll be glad to get it there for you guys to pick up.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, we're gonna get into our first comment. We got quite a lot. Mike Levy says, "Send me some info, Mike at nmifence.com."
Let me take a picture of Mike's contact information here. There we go. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll reach out. Where are you located, Mike?
I think he is in, if I'm correct, upstate New York, Buffalo, New York, somewhere near there.
Yeah. Cool.
He's National Metal Industries.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. There's definitely a need up there. Big cedar market in the Northeast. So I think Jersey's the closest we come to there. So yeah, it'd be good to have somebody up there.
Yeah.
With you.
Yeah, nice. We've been getting ours from Mr. Chris Gass whenever he gets truckloads. We get a bunk or two off of him. So man, I've been loving using it. It's way lighter than pine, I'll tell you that much.
Oh well, it's not soaking wet.
Yeah.
It's dry.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love that. Like, we can carry 30 and it's like almost nothing. Oh, look at that. Chris Steele says we actually have a sales call tomorrow with Gopher Wood. I'm looking forward to it, Billy. So hell yeah, man. I can't wait, buddy. Let's do it. All right. So Mike says he's located in Long Island.
Cool. Yeah, I had a lady in Rhode Island call the other day, and she just needed a job lot. She was a general contractor, and we couldn't fulfill her for that. So that that's the biggest problem right now is we're getting calls from everywhere, people looking for job lots. So we have a huge demand for Gopher Wood, and just really don't have enough distributors or resellers. So if you know anybody that could carry it, it will. I don't want to tell you it'll sell itself, but there's a super high demand for it. So
yeah,
it's definitely going to be one of the easier things to stain. Because I'll tell you a story about Gopher Wood. Up in Virginia, one of our guys, I think Chris, the guy that you're going to meet with tomorrow, Dan, was up in Virginia visiting a client, and they were installing Gopher Wood on a job site. And across the road, there's a lady there, and she's got another fence company out there, and they walk over to talk to our team. And she said that she had just bought and paid a deposit for a vinyl fence. And she walked over there with her fence contractor. I guess she had called him back out to look at what they were building across the street. And she said, "I don't want vinyl." She said, "I want this fence. I want the pre-stained wood." I think it was a gray stained fence that we were doing.
Okay.
like a slate gray color.
Yep.
Anyways, the other fence guy said, well, I only do vinyl. I said, I don't do wood. I'm sorry, I can't do it. And she said, well, I want my money back. So she got her money back and hired the fence contractor we were affiliated with to build her fence out of Gopher Wood. And so, there's a lot of surveys that have been done, market surveys on, and there's a key word here: well maintained, properly maintained
Right.
wooden fencing, decking, and siding is preferred over vinyl or composites if it's well maintained. I think there's just something about the beauty of natural wood that people love. It's in our DNA, and people want it and they love it. And when they find out that they can get a low maintenance, something that's beautiful right out of the box, it's a big seller for fence companies that bring it on.
Absolutely. And you guys offer like pre-stained machines as well, right?
Yeah. So we do. We have, it's called Expert Paint and Stain Machine. You can paint with it, stain with it, put clear coats on, whatever. Some guys even paint cabinet doors with it, but it's really made for dimensional lumber. And there's no pumps to clog up or go out on you. No electricity needed. It's gravity flow. It's a pretty sweet machine. We've put them in the hands of a lot of fence installers and a lot of stain companies that take on stain jobs for fence installers. And so what a lot of guys do is they'll use Gopher Wood. We can do custom colors, but it comes standard in a chestnut, which is a medium brown. And so a lot of guys, they'll buy their volume in the chestnut, but they'll offer for a significant upsell, they'll offer a custom color, and they'll use that stain machine to do it. And so I think the breakdown on is like maybe two. It's either 2 or 3, just very small fence jobs, like 200-foot jobs. The machine's paid for. So it's I think it's 2 jobs. 2 jobs the machine's paid for. So it's a good little thing to get some upsells with. But if you're a big producer, it may be still too small to really keep up if you're running 20 crews or something. Right.
Yeah, man. And like in 2 jobs is a really fast payback for a tool. Very fast payback.
Yeah, it's a fast payback.
So that's awesome. That's awesome in itself. Let's see. Chris Steele says we need a stain machine, Billy.
We can make it happen. Everybody can get a stain machine.
Everybody, stain machine for you. Stain machine for you.
We're actually, I'm not supposed to announce it, but we're gonna do a giveaway in September for a stain machine. So
nice.
You might get one for free.
Nice. Heck yeah, man. Kevin Poole says charlestonfences.com needs some. I'm assuming he's talking about Gopher Wood.
Yeah.
So
I'll take a picture of that one too. We'll reach out.
Here, I'll put it back up there for you.
Got it. Yeah. Kevin will reach out.
All right. Yeah. So we've hit the adding a stain division to your fence company. We've hit training them. We've talked about some Gopher Wood. Where do you see let's say the next 5 to 10 years of not just the pre-stained products, but of stain itself?
Well, it's hard to say. So much of the staining business has been stain manufacturing, and same with fence suppliers. Everything's been bought out by private equity. There's even been some brands just recently that were bought out that were big names that you might know, and bought out by even bigger names. And so we don't know what's going to happen. We do know that when private equity money comes in or venture capital comes in and buys brands, they tend to change things. You can see that you're at a fence supply house near you. We grew up at Capital Wholesale in Nashville, and there were 50 employees. People, you knew everybody, and today it's a very different story. I don't know if it's better or worse, but it's just different, right? And so we know that there are going to be some things that change in the fence business or the stain business. Don't know exactly what they're going to be, but I do think that with more manufacturing happening in America over the next 4 years, at least, we would say, we can expect to see more people manufacturing things here. I think with more venture capital buying up the smaller suppliers, I think you're going to see more new smaller suppliers come open. And so I think the suppliers, just like the fence installers, are going to be looking for ways to add revenue and be different. And so they may bring on stains, they may bring on pre-stained lumber, they may bring on decking, they may bring on railing products. Who knows? I know I used to put in a lot of railings as a fence contractor, and it was expensive. So, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah, man. We've done a couple of railing jobs. Super easy, super good money too.
Yeah.
Super high margins.
Yep.
So yeah, man, it's kind of the same thing. Like we're here still teetering with subcontracting people to go stain out for us, and or just having a stain crew. So we're still teetering that line like right now, but we do offer it absolutely. But yeah, man, it's good to hear that information and to know that there is 4 different ways. There's not just, 1 or 2 ways to get into the like staining business itself.
Yeah, and again, I'll reinforce what I said earlier. As a fence contractor, if you're trying to be the biggest, best fence company in your town, in your region, in your city, in your state, whatever, in your part of the country, I think you got to focus on that, right? So many guys get so spread thin doing so many different things. They'll install every style of fence. And if you really look at, my study of like the biggest fence companies or the most successful ones that I've gone and seen, they typically do 1 or 2 styles of fence, and that's all that they do. But they do it really well, and they do a whole lot of it. It's the same material, it's the same specs, it's the same job over and over. And so if you are thinking of trying to get into the stain business, just make sure you get into it in a smart way, so that you don't step over $1 to pick up a nickel, right? We don't
Right.
want to neglect what we have going. So pre-stained lumber may be a great way to add on all the benefits of staining without any of the mess or any of the operational struggles that may come with it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome stuff. Last but not least, where can everybody find like more information about everything that you have to offer? Expert Stain and Seal, Gopher Wood.
Yeah, so I'm wearing the shirt. Restorative Industries is the name of our company. That's the parent company that holds all our brands. I'm apparently I like doing lots of things and having lots of irons in the fire. So we have quick breakdown would be under Restorative Industries. We have Expert Stain and Seal, or Expert Professional Wood Care, which is a whole line of wood care products, cleaners, brighteners, strippers for the fence industry, decking industry, log home industry. And then we have Stain and Seal Experts, which was the original service business, and we still do service in Nashville, and that's a franchise company. So we did staining university classes for years. People said, how do we get a location? We want to be a part of your team and do this. So we franchised that in 2025, and we'll have new locations coming on in 2026. So if you just want to fast track to, basically do what we did in 1 year, or what we did in 10 years, if you want to do it in 1 year, a franchise may be an opportunity for you. But we also have all the tools and things that you need to get started without being a franchise. So we'll help you either way. Stain and Seal Supply is just an online marketplace. There's a lot of places that don't have dealer coverage or reseller coverage for all of our products, and you can buy them at stainandsealsupply.com. And then Gopher Wood obviously is our pre-stain lumber division, and that's the brand of the lumber. So if a truck shows up at your place, it'll be full of bundles of lumber that say Gopher Wood on them.
Yep.
But restorativeindustries.com. You can see it all right there.
Well, there we go, guys. Restorativeindustries.com. If you are interested in any of the products, I highly recommend you go give them a nice, good, long checkout. But hey, man, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I have truly enjoyed myself. And like with that said, man, you have a wonderful rest of your night.
Hey, man, I've wanted to be on your show for a while, so glad to finally make it happen. And next time I will wear a Hawaiian shirt.
I was just like, I've worn like Finch like shirts the past, I don't know, 10, 15 weeks. And I was like, why don't I wear a regular shirt?
Well, I was looking through my closet before, because I went to the gym earlier, so I changed clothes, and I was flipping through all these fence company shirts, because all the fence guys have sent me shirts over the year. I almost grabbed the red one, and you know what the red one was? It was Dan Wheeler's shirt, and I was like, yeah, probably not the best shirt to wear tonight. But,
oh man, it would have been cool. Me and Dan were cool.
Oh, I knew it would have been, but so happy to be on the show, and looking forward to talking to all these nice people that watched. Appreciate everybody tuning in.
Absolutely, man. And like again, thank you so much for coming on, man. And I will be looking forward to seeing you in Vegas
I'll
at
be
the
there.
Fence show.
Yep.
And we'll have to talk and hang out there for a little bit. And man, you have a wonderful rest of your night, buddy.
All right, man. Thank you so much. And any of those other comments or questions down there, guys, just reach out to me. I'll be glad to talk to you and answer any of those questions. But the answer to all of that is probably a yes to most of those.
All right. All right. Hey, man. Thank you, bud.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. All right, guys. Wonderful show. I've got to address two of the comments. Chris, that was in the beginning of the episode. If you want to scroll back and watch that on how he got into the staining from the from the install side. And I think that's it. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna have a awesome show lined up for you next week. Y'all make sure that you tune in. And if you are an audio listener, go hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you catch your podcast on. We're on all the major ones, a lot of the smaller ones as well. Just go search the Gatekeepers podcast and look for the Fence logo. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, guys. I will see y'all next week. Go kick some ass, collect some checks, put some fence in the ground, and be safe first and foremost. Later, guys.